and welcome to Danske UNI. My name is Gyte Gedvilaite Hansen, and I'm leading one of intelligent automation teams in Danske Bank. My daily work is focused on machines and robots, but what I have always been interested in is the human side of technology. So do machines actually make us more productive, or do we sometimes end up serving them? This is what we will explore in this video. Let us start with the definitions. What is productivity? Essentially, that is the amount of output that a given input provides. So inputs could be work hours, and outputs could be produced shares or bank transactions. And we humans, we tend to be a little bit lazy. So we have always focused on trying to do more in the given time. And how do you do that? Essentially, there are two ways. We can do more efficient work methods. And what is that? That could be doing the process a little bit differently, doing one step before never. That could also be dividing the work in a bit different way. It could also be training your colleagues so they can do better quality and you do not need to redo the work. And then there is technology. We can use the machines to do the work instead of us. And that sometimes becomes a silver bullet to everything. But there is also one more definition of productivity today. We tend to squeeze out every single minute out of our working day. There is even a whole industry trying to help us to be more productive in both our work and personal lives. There are different technologies, different consulting practices that help us to be more productive. How did it happen and how did it go throughout the history? Let us start with 18th, 19th century, Industrial Revolution. That is when we started using technology to automate our work in manufacturing. If we leap forward to late mid-20th century, with the invention of personal computer and World Wide Web, the productivity growth suddenly went digital. That enabled a lot of other technologies in the next years. For example, in the 90s, Microsoft released their Office package, so people could do a lot of their own work and optimize it on their computers. A lot of self-serving solutions came out. That is also when Danske Bank released their e-banking, so people could do transactions on their PC without going to the bank. In 2000s, we saw that we finally could use search engines and look for data at any time and find it in a matter of seconds. A lot of solutions also went mobile, which meant that we didn't even need to sit at the PC. We could take our phone and do, for example, mobile transactions anywhere on the go. And this has continued to the present day, and new technologies are released every single day, and there is no end to it. And this, of course, has increased our productivity really a lot. And there is one law that explains it a little bit. That is called Metcalfes Law. It states that value of the network is proportional to the square number of users. And that might be a bit difficult to understand. So let us take an example. Let's imagine you have a mobile application that helps you to make transactions without knowing the personal bank account, just by phone number, like mobile pay. If you just have 2 users, this application is not very valuable. You can only transfer to that one other user. If you have 5 users, that value already grows. You already have 4 others you can transfer to. And you can see that with increase of users, you have huge growth of value of this network. And like that with all networks. For example, email. Try to imagine how it was to send letter a long time ago when email did not exist. It would take a long time just to write the letter. Then you needed to pay to get it sent. Then it took days, sometimes weeks to reach the destination. And the same would be to get the answer. Sometimes it would even get lost. With email, you could suddenly reach a lot of people within a matter of seconds, and you could get the reply instantly. So that network was really valuable once a lot of users came on. The same with meetings. Nowadays, you can book the meeting at a matter of seconds, and connect using smart devices. Before, booking a meeting would take a long time. You had to agree on time and place, and then go to that place to have a meeting. Today, you can actually book it within a matter of seconds and connect through the smart device using video. And you can book an enormous amount of meetings and meet really many people during the same time. But if you use so many smart tools and are parts of so many of these networks, why don't we work less? 100 years ago, futurologists predicted that by now we would only work 5 to 15 hours a week. But that did not happen. In fact, if we look at all the statistics, the growth of productivity has stalled since 2005. So we're not really improving, but why so? Does it mean that we invest less in technologies? We have fewer of them? Not at all. We have never invested more. So what has happened? One part could be that we're actually humans. We have cognitive limits, and we cannot do as much as machines enable us to. For example, there is a number called Dunbar's number, and that means how many valuable social contacts can we have. According to that theory, we can only have maximum 100 to 250 social contacts where we still can build valuable relationships. If we look at both of these Metcalfes Law and Dunbar's number together, we can see that while technology enables us to send really a lot of emails and to book really a lot of meetings, we cannot really manage that due to our cognitive limits. So what that you can have a lot of meetings if we cannot really understand what we need to achieve and we still need to build meaningful relationships with those in the meeting. So what does that mean? That with more technology, we only spend more time on managing that technology. We need to learn each and single one of them, how to use it, perhaps even call somebody to ask, what exactly is this about? What do I do now? And we use those social relationships that we would otherwise use for something valuable to just manage technology. We might say that we are actually serving that instead of using technology to help us. But are we just doomed? Can we do something about it? Or are we forever stalling the productivity growth and just staying where we are? I believe that is not the case. And I believe that every single one of us can do something about it. It's not just project managers, it's not just software engineers, it's not just product owners, those that work with technology that should be responsible for it, but every single one of you as well. I believe that you will be working with technology as a user, perhaps test it, perhaps give some inputs as subject matter expert. You will know what is best. So I have 3 suggestions for you. What to do whenever you are part of this. Part of testing, part of introducing new technology, or perhaps just using it. First of all, ask, do we have the right process? If you remember in the beginning, I mentioned that there are 2 ways of growing productivity, and one of them is smarter work methods. We often forget about that, but we really still need to look, do we have the right process? Recently, I've been working on one project where we were looking for opportunities to automate. But in fact, what we found is just by changing the process a little bit, doing one step in front of another, we could save 1/3 of the time done for that process, without any technology at all. The second question that I urge you to ask is, do we have the right reason? I often get asked, could we do some machine learning here? Could we do something super smart? But in fact, when we start looking at that process, I can see that it will be too costly and too complicated. We can do a lot with much simpler things. For example, just Excel or building some simple script. And in my experience, it very often does really a lot for much shorter time and much less money. Try to see what you want to achieve. Some technologies actually are not meant to save time. They are there to collect more data, to provide insights. So it's not necessary that each technology will for sure cut time for you to do the same thing. And finally, are we communicating effectively? If we look at why technology projects fail, the main reason is due to poor communication. That is more than half of the projects, wherefore 1/3 of them, that is the main reason. So we need to be better at talking as humans in order to create better technology. And I believe if you try to do all these 3 tips, then we will indeed have technology that help us to be more productive and not less. And perhaps then in the future, we can work just 5 or 15 hours like futurologists predicted. Thank you for listening.